I've had this now since I was 16, so I've had it for about 6 years now. It started off as a very prominent ringing sound and then became like a high-pitched tone. I first noticed it after a day we were out shooting and I just didn't bother wearing any ear protection or earmuffs, and it would wear off the next day. You would have a bit of ringing for about an hour or two, but then the next couple of days it was still there. It faded down gradually, but you would always get this ringing or really high pitched squeal almost in your ear, a wee bit like there's wind or something. So it was there for a long time. It's kind of in the middle of when I really started to do a lot of shooting and the music started to take off, and I really got involved in that. One way it did affect me was I was going to enlist for the FCA, the local army, the reserves. We had to do a medical test, a hearing test that we had to do. We had to listen in a booth to some very high pitched and low pitched, very quiet noises with headphones on, and because of the ringing that I had in my ears, I ended up failing the test and wasn't able to go into the reserves. The first thing the officer actually asked me was, what did I play in a band? I was like, oh, well, yeah, of course. I said, yeah, well, I think that might be a problem. He says, you're missing a frequency in your hearing. You're actually missing a whole frequency. And that was one of the levels that you actually need to get into the army, so I was unable to pass the test and ended up. That was the first time I think it has ever really affected me, doing anything that I wanted to do. Sometimes when I'm playing with the band or we're in practice, I worry about it getting worse, because before we would have played quite loud in practice and everything would have been up really quite loud, and we would have mic'd up drums and everything would have been really booming in such a small space in a small garage. But now we realised ourselves we were coming out and our ears were ringing after practice, so now we've started to tone everything down and everything's just done off the level of the drums, and as long as we match that, everything seems to be okay. I'm annoyed with myself in knowing that it could have been prevented and it was just silly, but I was young when I was going out and doing shooting and you didn't really pay any attention to it, so by the time it actually had happened it was too late to do anything then. So I'm a bit annoyed at myself, but you're young, we make mistakes and that's life.